Next up, we have a school safety plan update. This is information only, and I show Ty Dennis and Dave Cobb heading up. Dr. Cobb, thank you.
I want to take this time to introduce Ty Dennis first and foremost and just highlight the things that we're doing in our district when it comes to safety. I will tell you, after Ty Dennis gets done presenting, you'll see what I think our region is seeing, and that is that we're truly setting the standard in safety in the Rockwood School District. And we've been very busy for the past number of months, and this presentation is just an opportunity to really highlight the things that we're doing here in Rockwood. So I'm going to turn over to Ty and let him brag about the things that we're doing. So.
Good evening, everyone. I am Tyrone Dennis. I am the safety supervisor for Rockwood School District. The safety presentation that we're going to do basically is highlighting some of the things that we've put in place over the last few months that I'm excited about, I'm proud of. Myself and Dave Cobb have worked constantly on trying to keep our district safe and updating as much as we can. It says we're having. Okay. First and foremost, if our 4 new safety officers could wave to everybody so they can see you. We basically brought on 4 safety officers to accompany our school resource officers, putting us at 17 officers, 18 counting myself. The 4 safety officers basically, each one will patrol a quadrant throughout the day, and they basically go from elementary schools all day being a present. With the 4 safety officers, we have over 116 years of law enforcement experience combined. So I think we hit a home run in being able to hire these individuals for our district. One of the biggest complaints that I often got was we didn't have representation at our elementary schools, only at our secondary schools. And this basically helps us out in that fact. Like someone spoke earlier about seeing them in the morning. I have children in the district as well, and seeing them in the morning, their presence is a breath of fresh air, and their expertise in law enforcement. We're happy to have them. So if you give them a round of applause. If you look around, not only this building, we also put signage up to identify our different classrooms and doors throughout our district and all of our buildings. It basically helps not only the students, but guests in our buildings understand what room is where. Some of our buildings are huge, and as a new student, you might get lost, and basically the signage lets everyone know where they are in our building. So that is another safety measure that we implemented this year. The state of Missouri basically gave emergency response through Raptor. Raptor is a system that allows us, I'm getting confused. Raptor is an emergency response where it allows us to alert in case of an emergency. And we're basically rolling it out through 4 pilot schools before we roll it out to the district. Anytime we get any new equipment, we try to start slow to work out any kinks or anything that doesn't work properly. And with the Raptor, we have 4 pilot schools, Westridge, Eureka Elementary, Eureka High, and Selvage. And what it is a system that allows our staff to alert us through phones. And through the training that they have these different mechanisms on the phone to basically alert if in the case of an intruder, if they need, it alerts the entire building, and basically through the computers and their phones, it alerts everybody of what's going on. A lot of times, everyone in the building don't understand what is going on, and this system actually helps us do that. Recently, starting in June, 4E training is put on by Tier 1 Tactical, which is St. Louis County SWAT officers, and they basically put us through training, 4E training, intruder training, um, educating us on what we need to do in the case of an emergency. August 16th and August 18th, all our staff was trained through 4E on what to do. The reason for this is to try to educate everyone on how to respond. We are preparing, like I often say, for a ghost. We don't know where an incident is going to happen, but we want to have options in what to do in case of an emergency. We also learned stop the bleed and CERT training. The stop the bleed training was very important because you may use this more than anything. And it basically showed how to put on a tourniquet to stop the bleeding or to actually pack a wound in case of any type of injury, a cut at the house, or in the case of emergency, a gunshot wound. And so through the 4E training, we learned that stop the bleed is one of the most important factors that we deal with in the case of an emergency like that. With CERT training, we are working with our local fire districts to work on more stop the bleed training and CPR training for our staffs. We're trying to get everyone trained so that they know how to deal with that in the case of emergency. We partner with Metro West to unveil that, I think in April of 2024. And so it'll be more training for that. Over the course of the end of last school year, including this summer, as well as the start of the school year, we had incident command meetings. The incident command meetings basically was created in response to the incidents that we had last year at Marquette. The incident command meetings actually allow us as a school district, our police departments, as well as our fire districts and the staffs at our school to sit down at the table and partner to understand what everyone's role is in case of emergency. The principals actually have really loved doing this because everyone says they know what to do, but some kind of are skeptical on what is my role in all of this. And so from that, we were able to create blue folders with information on to help them where they need to go, and to provide our partners with our fire districts and police departments the information on staffing and what they need from us so that the emergency can be handled accordingly. It also, we discussed rally points or different things for our students to go and our staff to go, as well as reunification locations, and basically put everybody on the same page. We learned a lot from Marquette, and we're just trying to build upon that to make our district better. So we have a system that we also use. It's called Siren GPS, and we basically have geofences around all our buildings in the district where if 911 is called at any time, we are alerted by it. It's a free system that is provided to us. I like it because a lot of times we don't know when 911 is calling what's going on. During school hours, my job is to vet every call and to check and make sure what is exactly going on. Usually I reach out to either the principals or the SROs or the SSOs to find out, and I'm alerting everybody from Dr. Kane down on what we have. Last year we had the incident at Lafayette with the soccer player, and sometimes you get these alerts a lot and you kind of overlook them or take them for granted. And our fire chief reached out and let us know exactly what we had. So from that point, basically try to vet every call to know exactly what's going on throughout the day. That is, thank you. Any questions?
I have a question.
Go.
The Raptor device that you all bought,
Alert system.
it might be too early, but how do you think it's going?
We're basically getting everyone trained on how to use it first and foremost. They should have that information probably within the next week. I think a lot of the principals will like it just because most people have their phones near them, and it's easy to alert everyone through that system. I believe that's why the state of Missouri put it into play, I guess.
Okay. Do you see us, well, I think we will need more, right, for every school,
What do you mean?
but the Raptors?
That's eventually that's the goal,
Okay.
but we want to test it out first because with new technology and new systems, it usually has some type of kinks or
Okay.
pull things that we didn't even recognize.
Okay.
And as it rolls out, the principals are using this stuff on a day-to-day basis, so they're able to provide good feedback on what they like, what they didn't like. Like last year, we rolled out School Pass. Some of them didn't like School Pass for different reasons, but all these different systems are in place for a reason. We had a walkthrough yesterday at one of the schools, and I was impressed to see all the safety measures before we even made it through the principal's office. And a lot of people take it for granted because they don't know exactly what it is or why it's there. With the stop the prop, we had stop the bleed kits and different things. Even the circle balls in front of the school, a lot of people think they're seats. That's the stop.
Yeah.
Some of them were ramming a vehicle into our buildings. And so we like to keep it kind of discreet and playful for the students, but we have safety is taken seriously in this district. It's our top priority. It's my everyday job, so I take it serious as well.
Thank you.
Mr. Dennis, there are two more slides. You want to speak to prop safety and then prop 3, and then also additional items on that very last slide as well.
So that this,
Yes.
I never thought I'd say this. I forgot my glasses. Boy, that's really interesting. So some of the prop 3, we just wanted to highlight, when we talk safety, we also find things we can always improve. And we've noticed some gaps. When I say gaps, I wouldn't say they're weaknesses, but they're things that we want to make better. Some of those are radio communications. All of our schools have radio communication, but we think we can make that communication better. Door access control and monitoring system keys are really kind of outdated. So looking at what we already have in our district in some schools and trying to make that something for all schools, because we feel that that's a high safety measure that we want to incorporate. So we're always looking to increase surveillance at our cameras, especially at our any access points to our schools. So we want to make sure that we're constantly updating that and making sure that those are up to speed and up to date, because that technology is always changing. Intruder alarm systems, as Mr. Dennis said, right now Raptor is free, but we also know that when we put the committee together to talk about intruder alarm systems, we know that there will be a cost of that in the future, and that's something that technology is always changing, and this technology specifically is always changing and evolving. We want to make sure that we're always ahead of the curve in that. And the last one is creating surveillance stations at our middle schools and high schools. We have SROs at our middle school and high schools, and we think it's important for those SROs in those schools to be able to sit down in an office or be in a location to where they can monitor the entire school and know what's going on. We've observed that that's effective in other areas, and we've had some requests to do that. So we think that that is also a need at our middle schools and high schools, and that will also take because it's technology related, it'll be something that will consistently be needing to be looked at and changed. So that's part of our Prop 3. And then just additional safety items, as Mr. Dennis said, we've got a ton going on. We're talking about secure entrances. Our visitor management system is something that is used on an ongoing basis, and we get alerts. We want to know who's coming into our building. Locked doors, again, we're looking at how can we sufficiently make sure that all doors have locks. We also, if you remember back, every one of our classroom doors has an internal lock, as well as any classroom or area that has the panic button. So we're constantly monitoring the locked doors and making sure those are up to date. Mental health resources that we have, annual crisis workshop, which is actually coming up, where we meet with all of our municipalities and talk about crisis, talk about Rockwood, and talk about how we can keep our students and staff safe. Safety committees. We want to reach out to our principals at the elementary, middle, and high school and get their feedback. What's going well, what's working, what needs to be better, and how can we support and help you? Because we think we know, and you really, what I've learned is you don't really know until you actually get in the buildings and ask the questions. And then the last thing is just adding safety is an ongoing thing, just like we would do with curriculum or any other thing that's extremely important. I think safety should be one of the forefronts of all of our agendas, so we can constantly stay up to date. Like I said in the beginning, I do think we're setting the standard in the region for safety based on the feedback that we're getting and the work that we're doing from our first responders, their feedback. They're telling us we're doing it right, and we know we're doing it right, but we can't sit back and just feel good about it. We have to constantly be on the forefront and ask questions and learn. And that's our goal. And Ty Dennis is doing a great job with his team to do that. So any other questions? Yeah.
Could you explain to me when when a staff member presses that there's an intruder, what happens in the building?
Basically, that alert on the phone is 4 different buttons that they can basically alert. And it basically alerts everyone of what's going on. If we're going to go into a lockdown, or it makes a weird sound on your phone. We actually experienced it the other night, and it gets you prepared to then the 4E training that we went through. That's what all of that is for. A lot of people don't know exactly what's going on. And so we wanted to have a system in place to be able to alert everyone. You could be on the other side of the building and not familiar that something is going on, but the Raptor alert system does that. It basically provides somewhat feedback, intruder, or something along those lines, so that you can do what's necessary to try to be safe.
And with you piloting it in school buildings where there are dead zones, are you anticipating we're going to need to have some sort of Wi-Fi booster or something where cell phones, they don't have a signal in some of our buildings?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. And the 4 pilot schools that we picked were chosen for a reason. And so we know we've got schools where we have cell issues. When we have a committee of individuals that discuss alert systems, you'll have a lot of vendors that will promise you a lot of things. So we have to make sure whatever we go with actually works. And it works in places in which we know we have areas that might have Wi-Fi issues or might have cell coverage issues. And so we've picked these schools for a reason, because if they work there, we know they're going to work everywhere. And I will say, just as the alert goes, not only do the phones go off, think of when your phone would go off if there was an abduction nearby or whatever. It shuts everything down, that goes off, and it also ties to our computer system. So computers will also turn red, and we can display whatever message we want on that. When I say false alarms, it really does, the Raptor alert system, when you open your app, you also have a Face ID, you swipe, you have to do 3 or 4 things in order to engage the system to go off. And so the days of just accidentally pressing the wrong 4 buttons in a certain sequence, we know that false alarms can be very problematic. And so this is a system that really helps in that area. So we're excited to get the feedback from our staff, and then we're going to take that back to see where we go from here.
And one more comment. Moving forward, can we make sure there's a piece for our parent volunteers so they understand what to do in situations? I'm just thinking of the high schools and school stores, things like that.
We've actually spoken about trying to do parent nights to basically educate our parents. With a lot of the safety stuff that we do, a lot of the concerns from parents is they don't know what we do. And for our younger students, they might come home and explain it to their parents, and their parents are like, that doesn't make sense. And so I think that we are trying to see if we can put that together to be able to explain. As you can see, we have a lot of stuff in place, and it's something that we address every day. And I think if we explain it to the parents, they'll have a better understanding of exactly what's going on.
I'd just like to make a comment, if I could, and that is that security folks like yourselves are often not appreciated until there's an incident. I'd like you to make sure you understand from both myself, and I think I speak for the other board members here, that we very much appreciate what you're doing. I hope we never have to exercise these protocols, but thank you for everything you're doing. So if something does happen, we'll be the best prepared we can. Thank you.
Ty, I just had a quick question about the signage. First of all, thank you, because I get lost. You know, I get lost in every building, and today they made that easier. But are there specific colors, or does it look the same across every building? Do our first responders have access to the maps or understand the color coordination to make it easy if they have to navigate the buildings?
With the signage, they basically tried to use the primary colors, I believe. Some of the principals had a problem with some of the colors in some of the buildings, of course, because they have different color schemes. Those meetings that we had, we actually are providing our first responders with maps of all of our buildings and the color code, the layouts, so that they don't have access to Infinite Campus and things like that. So with a thumb drive, it has rosters where they know where different people, how many students are there. In the high schools, we have A day, B day, different stuff like that. That information is on that thumb drive. And so the goal is for someone to get that to the where everyone lines up, or when we meet in the case of an emergency. One of the things that we learned from Marquette is information. It's just like if I told Janet something, by the time it got to you, it'll be jumbled up. And so we want everybody at the table to be able to understand exactly what's going on and share that information. So that's what those blue folders that we were talking about, that's why we met with them. Mike Digman with Metro West, he accompanied us all summer long and going to all the schools to educate and learn from our different principals of what do they expect during an emergency. Everyone, like I said before, have a general idea, but they don't necessarily know exactly. Now we're all on the same page. Any other questions?
Just a statement. There's never been a situation that I'm aware of where we've reached out to our first responder community and the answer's been no. They have gone above and beyond, regardless of where the lines of whatever jurisdiction happens to be. They have always gone above and beyond to be really, really solid partners with the Rockwood School District. And these two gentlemen aren't going to say it, but I will. They are spending countless hours to make this work happen. Those meetings, in terms of safety meetings within the buildings, is a nightmare logistically in order to make it happen. But it's such a priority. They've cleared things out in order to make it happen. So I just want to reiterate what Dr. Cobb mentioned and then what Mr. Dennis has also stated, that we are never going to rest on our laurels when it comes to this. As I hate to use this terminology, but the threat horizon continues to evolve, our responses will need to continue to evolve as well. But I think we have the right mindset and the right direction that we're heading at this point in time. And our goal is just to keep it moving forward. So thank you for your hours and your time with us.
Thank you, guys.